Hi, my name is Tirsi, and I want to welcome you to the Unreasonably Grateful podcast, Living in Grace by Choice. And just like every other week, I want to take a moment and welcome you, whether this is the first time you've listened in, the 10th, or the 224th, which is the episode that I'm currently recording. You're welcome here. I'm grateful that you're here. I thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. And I am grateful that you are a part of my journey and that you let me be a part of your journey. So I know that through my own 38 years of recovery from 20 years of living an addictive lifestyle, that other people's stories had an impact on me. I would hear something and something that somebody said, and it would be like a piece of my own puzzle. And it would help me move further along on my own recovery path. And recovery, as I'm defining it, is becoming more of who we were created to be and less of who we've become as a response or a reaction to the circumstances in our life. And as we put together the pieces of that puzzle, we have the opportunity to use more of our divinely given gifts. And this particular episode is called Gifts and Curses because I want you to consider that it's a double edged sword. And I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper in just a moment. So on Tuesday mornings, I also offer opportunities to sit with individual people. It's a 20-minute session, and really, I'm just sitting there as an elder and I'm listening and looking and sharing with you, reflecting back what I see and what I hear. And experience has told me that always what I see and hear is a bigger, brighter, more beautiful version of yourself. And I think we all need those mirrors in our life. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be one of those mirrors. And if that's something that interests you, you can sign up on TiercyEngelhart.com under the topic Work Together, and it's on a donation basis. So if that's something you're interested in, I look forward to getting to know you a little bit better and having an opportunity to sit with you. Okay, so I want you to consider that we all have gifts. We all have divine gifts that we've been given. And those gifts are ours to bring into fruition and to share and express outwardly in the world. And getting to the place where we can identify those gifts, accept those gifts as ours, and then live into expressing those gifts is a journey. And at any moment along that journey, those gifts can become and feel like curses because we have to push past our limitations of ourself, our fears, our expectations, our judgments, assessments, criticisms, self images, all of those things that would inhibit you and I ever actually living into and expressing those gifts in an outward way. And it's inward work to get there. We don't all get there. And my friend who I told you about recently who passed, he had a mission, and his calling, his mission was people living illuminated lives. And at the very end of his life, he added, and tenderhearted, like they live illuminated lives and are tenderhearted. And I've thought about that a lot. And I think that as we get closer and closer to moving to the other side of the veil, it is more about how have we done at expressing love. And I believe that all of our gifts, the gifts that you have, that I have, that each of us has, is some expression of that unconditional love, whether it's the creativity and the art or the music and the dance or the voice or the compassion, uh, whatever it is, the inspiration, the dedication, the devotion, the gratitude, the generosity, whatever it is, whatever your gift is, And remember, gifts can be expressed in a multitude of ways. It's not like there's one job or one expression of that gift. Your gift can have lots and lots and lots, myriad of different expressions. It's still the same gifting. And whether we live out our life as the gift or the curse is up to us. It's a choice. And I have a good friend who is a psychiatrist, was a psychiatrist for prison. And I remember when he shared with me that when he sits with the prisoners in a session, he often has this thought, this internal thought of there but by for the grace of God go I. And I've thought about that a lot because he's dealing with men who are in prison for life. So they've done something horrific or been accused of and found guilty of doing something horrific. And I know that, I don't know what it's like for you, but certainly for myself and for other people I know, it's always difficult to admit that we're sinners, that we fall short of the expression of love, which is what it is to sin, to miss the mark of love. And we all do. But the idea that we would cross over into the horrific, the unspeakable, is hard to grasp sometimes. So to see my friend say, oh, but by for the grace of God. And then I looked at that and I thought about it. The number of times that perhaps you or I have actually gotten in a car and driven and had been drinking, or we looked the other way and almost hit a car, or we've lied, or we've cheated, or we've stole, or we've hurt. And how many times have we just missed something that we did turning into the horrific, the I don't want to use the word unforgivable because I know there's a God that can forgive anything, but maybe for humans, the unforgivable or the unforgettable, or hurting or harming another person uh, in an irreplaceable way, or whatever it might be. And sometimes I don't think that we realize that perhaps the difference between one of those prisoners and ourselves is simply the moment when we were blessed by the grace of God. And we may see it as luck or good fortune or circumstances as opposed to grace. But I also think, just like living in grace by choice is the byline of this podcast and my book, I also think that we can, throughout our lifetime, make choices that lead us closer to living out the gifting, or they move us in the direction of closer to it falling into a curse. And by a curse, I mean something that we can't get over, that we get sucked into, that we get trapped by. And then it snowballs into a life or a pattern that isn't the life that we would love to be living. Now, I also know a beautiful woman who's the mother of a friend of mine who I believe was falsely accused of murder, and she's spent over, I think, 55 years now and hasn't been exonerated yet. And she's made a beautiful life out of the life she lived in prison. However, it wasn't the life that she intended to live. It wasn't the life she would have loved to live. Yes, she made the most out of that situation, but it wasn't the one she would have chosen. And so every day she chooses it, so she doesn't live in that suffering. But I think you and I oftentimes fall asleep to every word we say, everything we listen to, every penny we spend, every thought we have, every action we take is either one that moves us into our gifting, or it moves us away from it into what could be considered a curse. And so this week, I want you to pay attention to, are you empowering your gifting? Are you living more into and taking responsibility for the gifting you've been given? So at the end of your life, you'll be able to say, I did well with what I was given. And that I believe is something all of us hope to have fulfilled on. So pay attention to it this week. See if you can't shift your attention, your attitude, your thoughts, your speech, your actions. If you can't switch them and move them in the direction of your gifting and away from what we might be considering a curse.